Good morning to everyone. In this session, we are going to be discussing about Java Abstract Window Toolkit. We can design graphical user interface in Java with the support of Abstract Window Toolkits and Sphinx concept. Even nowadays, people are developing the graphical user interface in Java with the help of Java FX. In this particular session, we are going to be discussing about how to create the graphical user interface with the support of Java AWT. See, AWT full form is Abstract Window Toolkit. It is an API, application programming interface, which is especially used to develop the graphical user interface, particularly to develop the window based applications in Java. We are going to be using this Abstract Window Toolkit. Abstract Window Toolkit have various components. It is actually a package. In that package, various classes are there. Inside the classes, various methods are there. With the support of all these, we can create the window based applications. Abstract Window Toolkit have various components. These components are platform dependent. That means it depends on the operating system. Suppose if we use Windows operating system, it display the content in one manner. In case if we use other operating system like Linux or Macintosh, then it display the content in different manner. So particularly it is going to be depending on the platform. That's why we call it as a platform dependent software. So here Java AWT package is one of the important package which we need to use in order to design the graphical user interface. So java.awt package available in Oracle API. So you can observe various classes what available inside of this java.awt package. Inside of this particular package, we can refer the Oracle documents to know much more about this package, what classes exist inside of this Java AWT package, and what methods exist inside of each class, what fields we have, all the things which related with the Abstract Window Toolkit are available inside of this java.awt package. So whenever we are using Abstract Window Toolkit in our program in order to design the window based applications, compulsory we have to import this java.awt package inside our program. So as I already told, it provides various classes. These classes are like text field, label, text area, radio button, checkbox, choice, list, etc. So all these are various classes. You can observe the naming convention in that in this particular PPT. So all are having starting with capital letter, it followed a camel case. So all these are classes. So with the support of all these classes, we are going to be designing these components. Suppose if I want to create one text field in my window application, so in order to design that text field, I have to utilize the text field class. With the support of this text field class, I can create the text field. In the same manner, suppose if I want to add the address, so in order to add the address, we require some text area. Instead of single line, in multiple lines we are going to be placing the address. So in order to create that text area, we can use text area class. In the same manner, suppose if you want to create the label, suppose you are creating the login form, in that username, password you need to give. Before beside that username text field, you must put some label like username, because user should understand what should enter in the particular text field. Simply by seeing that label, user can understand what should enter in the given text field. So we can create that labels like username, password with the support of label class. So in the same manner, other components also there like checkbox, choice, list, etc. are there. We can create all these various components with the support of various classes which are available in the java.awt package. By seeing this diagram, you can understand the hierarchy of Abstract Window Toolkit. If you keenly observe, in Java, all the classes are the subclasses of object class. So here also in abstract window toolkit we are going to be creating various components. All these components classes are the subclasses of object class. So here by seeing this diagram you can understand what is component. Component in the sense it might be a button, it might be a label, it might be a checkbox, it might be a choice, it might be a list, even it might be a container. So all these are called as a components. So here each component we need to add to the window. Here first we should know, before creating this window based applications graphical user interface with the support of AWT or with the support of swings, first you should know how to create the container. Container is just like a plate. Whenever we are taking meals along with the rice, we are going to be adding various curries, but in order to put the rice and various curries we required one container, that is nothing but plate is required. In the same manner there are various components like button, label, checkbox, choice, list is there. So in order to place all these we require some container. That container is nothing but window or panel. So first you need to create the window. That window is called as container. Inside that container, inside that window you are going to be placing various other components like button, label, checkbox, choice, list, etc. So here even we can consider this container also as a component. So before creating any window based application, first you have to create the container. After creating the container, inside the container you have to place the various components. So one important thing what you need to remember here is even container also considered as a component. So in order to design the window based application, first we have to create the container. After that we are going to be adding the various components inside the container. So here container in the sense it might be a window or panel. So in general most commonly we are going to be creating the containers with the support of frame. So there are some differences between the normal window and frame. Window don't have minimization button, maximization button, closing buttons. It don't have any menu. Title bar is not there. Whereas for the frame, title bar is there, minimize button will be there, maximize button will be there, closing button will be there. So most commonly in order to create the container with the support of AWT we are going to be using the frame. So first we will create the frame. That frame act as a container. Inside that frame we are going to be placing various components. Even in order to place the components we are going to be deciding at which location in the given window, especially at which location you want to place your component, you can decide. You can add some attributes to the components also. We will see all those in the next slides. So ultimately here first you have to create the container. After that you need to add various components into it. So as of now remember we are going to be creating the container with the support of frame. So this frame contain minimization button, maximization button, closing button. So you can easily communicate with the window with the support of all these features. Now we will see about all these components. So as I already told, components are nothing but button, text fields, scroll bars, lists, checkboxes, all these are various components. So in order to create all these components in Java, we are ready-madely some classes are available. Those classes exist inside of java.awt package. So with the support of those classes we are going to be creating all these components. Next, coming to the container, as I already told, in order to place all these components we require container. That container we are going to be creating with the support of frame. Even with the dialog and panel also you can create the containers, but most preferable one is creating the container with the support of frame. So as I already told, container itself is a component. So as I already told, we have 4 types of containers. Those are window, panel, frame, dialog. Particularly here we will see the difference between normal window and frame. As I already told, window don't have any borders and menu bars, whereas frame have title bar, border, and even it can have menu bars. Even panel also don't contain any title bar, border or menu bar. So among all these, frame is the better one to create the container. Why? Because it contain the title bar, border, even it can have the menu bars. So in this particular slide you can know the important methods which we used uh, along with the component class. So after creation of components with the support of ready-madely available classes in the java.awt package, you have to make use of you have to take the support of various methods in order to add some attributes to this component. For example, see here we have add method. This add method particularly we are going to be using to add the component to the container. So after creation of component, you have to add that component to the existing container. So as a first step, first you will create the container with the help of frame. After creating the container, you will create the individual components like button, text box. Those components you are going to be creating. After creating the components, you need to add all these components to the container. You have to add all these components to the container like frame. So in order to add various components to the existing container, you have to use add method. So that is the main purpose of add method. Next, set size. So it actually have two parameters, width and height. So you can set particular component size. That component, suppose if you take the button, what is its width and height, you can decide by passing these two parameters with the support of set size method. Next we have set layout method. We will discuss about this layouts concept later on. So actually we have the various types of layouts, flow layout, border layout, like that, grid layout. Various layouts are there. We can create these layouts with the support of layout manager concept. So here this set layout method particularly we are going to be using whenever we want to use various layout managers, particularly in order to place your components inside the container in particular order. Then you can utilize these set layout method. In the same manner, set visible method. So in case if you use the various layouts, or even if you create a component and add it to the container, in order to make it visible, you have to use this particular method, set visible method. It have the single parameter or argument. That argument is nothing but a boolean value, either true or false. If you put set visible as true, the components whatever you added to the container are going to be visible on the window. Otherwise, if you put false, even though you add the component to the container, you cannot see those component over the container. See here we can create the container with the support of frame. That is the most commonly used procedure whichever we follow while creating the window based applications in Java. So in AWT we can create the frame in two ways. One way is by extending the frame class through the inheritance concept, we can implement the frame, and another way is by creating the object for the frame class through the association concept, we can create the frame. So these are the two ways to create the frame. One way is using the inheritance concept, another way is using the association concept. We will see the examples of these two ways of creation of frames in the next slide. So this is the first way. It contains some code. So we can create the frame with the support of inheritance concept, and another way is with the support of association concept. Here in this particular slide we have way to create the frame with the support of inheritance concept. So in this particular coding, as a first step, as I already told, whenever we want to create window based applications with the support of abstract window toolkit, we have to use AWT package. So as a first step, first you need to import this particular package. In the second line, you can see how we are importing the AWT package. Import java.awt.asterisk. So it indicates that you are going to be importing this particular package. Now you are able to access all the classes whatever available inside of this particular java.awt package. Sorry. So after importing the package inside our program, next see here we created one class. That class name is AWT example1. Here through the inheritance concept we are implementing frame. See here we have frame class. Frame is actually a class. So through this inheritance concept we are creating frame here. We are inheriting this frame class into AWT example1 class. After inheriting the frame class into AWT example1 class, then you can access all the methods of this particular frame, and now you are able to create the frame with the support of this inheritance concept. So here inside of this class we have constructor. For this particular AWT example1 class we have constructor. Inside this constructor we created the object for the button, and even we set the bounds for the button. After that we added the button to the frame. So here through the inheritance concept we inherited the frame into the AWT example1 class. Next inside of this AWT example1 constructor we created the button object. So as I already told, in order to create various components we have to utilize the ready-madely available classes which actually exists inside of this java.awt package. Inside of this java.awt package we have button class. Actually here button is a class. So simply we created the object for the button class, then your button will be created, and here you have to observe, you have to understand this parameter. Here we have one parameter, that parameter is click me. So after creating the button, over the button you are going to be placing some label. That label is nothing but click me. So like this, whenever you create the button object, if you pass some parameter as a text, then this text act as a label for that particular button. So now creation of button step is completed. You created the frame. Inside the frame you created one button, but you not yet added button to the container, just you created the button. After creation of button you are going to be setting the position of button. So here b.setBounds, actually this setBounds is a method which exists inside of this button class. So with the help of this setBounds method you are going to be deciding inside the frame, inside the container, at which location you want to place this particular created button. So here we have 4 parameters in order to indicate the x and y directions, especially it indicates the coordinates. So here inside the frame, in this particular coordinates you are going to be placing this particular button. So like this you can set the position of button in your container or frame with the help of setBounds method. So for this you are going to be passing the coordinates. So based on these coordinates the button position is going to be fixed. So till now you created the frame with the inheritance concept, you created one button inside the frame, and you added you set the bounds of that particular button. That means you decided at which location button need to be placed. After that the main thing is add method. So here if you don't use this add method, the created button, even though you mentioned its bounds, even though you created this button, it is not going to be added to the frame. So once if you use this add method, then only the created button is going to be added to the container. That means this button is going to be added to the frame. So here add b, here you pass the parameter b, but b is nothing but object of the button. So here add b in the sense this button you are going to be adding to the created frame. So that is the purpose of this add method. Next we are going to be setting the size of the frame. So you are creating frame here, that frame should have some size, that size, frame size, that means container size you are going to be setting with the help of set size method. So it specifies the width and height of the container or frame. Next, for the frame, if you want to add title, you can use the set title method. So with the help of this set title method, you can add some title for the frame. So after creation of frame, for that particular frame, if you want to put some title at the top portion, then you are going to be using this particular method, set title method. So this is our basic AWT example. This particular text you can see as a title for your frame. Next, set layout null. So however, we are going to be discussing about this layout concept later on. In case if you use any layout style, that layout style you are going to be mentioning with the support of this set layout method. Here we are not going to be using any layout style, that's why simply we put null. So in case if you use any layout style like border layout, flow layout, that layout style you are going to be mentioning in this particular set layout method parameter portion. In our case here we are not using any layout manager, that's why we are putting simply null here. Next, set visible true. Even though you created this particular frame and various components and even though you added various components to the frame, if you want to make it visible, you have to compulsory use this particular method, otherwise the created frame is not going to be visible. So here set visible is a method which is used to show the created frame and various components on the screen. So by default we will put here true. In case if you put false here, even though you created frame and even though you added various components to the frame, it is not going to be visible. When you run the program, if you want to see what you created, especially the frame whatever you created and various components whatever you added, if you want to make it visible, then you have to put this set visible method parameter as true. Next we have main method. Inside the main method we simply created object for this particular class. So in this particular program totally we have two classes. One first class is AWT example 1 and another class is actually here we have single class AWT example 1. So in this class we extended frame class, that means we utilize the inheritance concept. So through that we are going to be creating the frame, and inside the constructor we created button. After that we set the bounds for the button inside the frame, at which location frame need to be placed, that we decided. After that we added button to the frame. Next we set the size of the frame, we added title to the frame. We didn't follow any layout style, that's why we put the layout style as null. Next we use the method set visible and pass parameter as true. So with the support of this method we are able to display the frame whatever we created, whatever components we added, all those are visible whenever we use this particular method. So as you already know, program execution always starts from main method. So inside the main method first you created the object for the AWT example 1 class. After creation of object, next automatically the remaining process is going to be executed finally you are going to be create frame. Inside that frame you are going to be adding one button. See, this is the output what you are going to be getting. So we created frame. This frame is nothing but container. This container have minimization button, maximization button, closing button. This container have title. We set the title of this particular frame with the help of set title method. After that, inside this particular frame or container, we placed one button. We decided at which location inside this container button need to be placed, and over the button we put some label, click me, and even we added this button to this particular frame. So in this way we can create the window based applications with the support of AWT. Next we will see the second way of creating the frame, that is by using the association concept. Now see, in this particular example, same like earlier example, we created the frame, but we followed the second way of creation of frames. Here we use the association concept. Now see, inside this program also, first we imported the java.awt package. After that we have AWT example2 class. Inside this we have constructor. Here observe, earlier we didn't create any object directly to the frame. We inherited the frame into the AWT example1 class. After that we created the object for the AWT example1 class. But here we are directly creating the object for the frame class. Why? Because we are not inheriting here frame class. So directly with we are creating the object for the frame class. After that we are creating label. As I already told, in order to create various components, various classes are available. In order to create the button, we have button class. In the same manner, in order to create the label, we have the label class. So we created the object for the label class, and the label what we are going to be placing is employee ID. So here label name is employee ID. Next we created the button. Sorry. Next we created the button with the help of a button class. We created the button. Over the button we placed some text. That for button also we added some label, that is submit. We placed over the button. Next we created text field. In order to create the text field, we use the text field class. Simply we created the object for the text field. Here in the text field place you are going to be giving the input. So label is different, text field is different. Label simply display the text, you cannot edit it, whereas text field can be edited. So whenever we are creating the login form, you can generally see username and password. Beside the beside username you have some text field. So that is the text field can be editable, whereas label cannot be editable. That is the main difference. So here we created one label. After that we created one button. After that we created one text field. Next we set the bounds for the label, text field, and even button. So with the help of these label object, button object, text object, we set the bounds. So in this particular 23rd line we set the bounds for the label. So we are placing the label inside the frame in this particular coordinates. Next we are setting the bounds for the text field. So text field, for the text field we are setting the bounds here. Next we are setting the bounds for the button. So like this we set the bounds for label, button, and text field. Next we are going to be adding these already created components like this label, button, text field. We are going to be adding to the frame. So add method we are using here, and we are passing these components related objects. Suppose here f.add b, that means you are going to be adding the button to the frame. Next f.add l, you are going to be adding the label to the frame. Next f.add t, you are going to be adding the text field to the frame. So like this you are going to be adding various components to the frame. Next here we set the size of the frame 400 300. This is the width and height of the frame. Next we set the title for the frame. Employee information is the title. Next, same like in the previous example, we put layout style as null. In case if we follow any layout style, we will mention here that layout style. As of now we are not using any layout style, that is why we are simply putting null. Next, in order to make it visible, all your created window or created container, in order to make it visible, all the components, you are going to be using this set visible method. Next, as usual, we have main method. We created the object for this particular AWT example class, and later on whenever you create the object, automatically this constructor is going to be called, and inside whatever you have, all those statements are going to be executed. So finally you created one container, that means you created one frame. For that particular frame, some title is there, minimization, maximization, closing buttons are there. Inside that frame you added one label, one text field, one button. This is the output of this particular program. So you created a window or container, you created frame. This frame act as a container. It have some title, it have minimization, maximization, closing button, even it have label. Employee ID is label here, it cannot be editable. Even you have text field, this can be editable. After that you have button, or the button you have some label, submit label is there. So like this you added 3 components inside of this particular frame. So in this way we can create the window based applications with the support of AWT concept in Java. Thank you.